born and practically raised in the church. For most of my childhood, I remember my mom was not really in church. And I remember my grandma would be the one who would beg my mom if she can take me to church. And so I remember one time that my grandma brought me on a Wednesday night. I was in Prims. Sister Nellie was my teacher. I remember one night, Sister Hortensia, who was like the head leader, had all the little girls kind of line up, and she was praying, and she asked, who wants to accept the Lord as their personal Savior? And I remember I raised my hand, and I remember some of the other little girls raised their hand, and she led us into a prayer. And I remember praying that prayer, and I remember in that moment accepting the Lord as my personal Savior. And that was when I was in the Prims, and I was a young child. And then I got older, and I started to hit my preteens. And sad to say, I actually started to rebel. I started to develop a cold, hard heart because I started to live in the world. Though my mom and my parents were bringing me to church during my preteens, I was not serving the Lord. I was not connected to God at all. I was coming just for my friends. I was coming because my parents made me. I was a very rebellious preteen. In schools, I was getting suspended. I was getting into fights. I was cussing. I was getting into fights with my mom. I did try marijuana, and I just had a very hard heart. My goal as a young person was to fit in, to be cool, to be popular, to know the latest trend, have the cutest clothes, and just be popular. And sad to say, that caused me to have a hard heart. And I would come to church with that hard heart, and Jana can testify and say and remembers my coldness and my attitude, and the way I was here when she saw me was the way I was out there, like just cold, and I didn't believe in love, and I wasn't affectionate, and I was just I wanted to live in the world, I guess you can say, as a young person, and the pleasures of the world, and I wanted the music, the clothes. I liked it, I guess you can say. And I had no relationship with God. I had no foundation, nothing. Until I started to grow a little bit older, get a little older, and I started to go into the youth group. And I went to a retreat. I went to the Purpose retreat, and it was a night that Jana brought the word, and she was preaching and teaching about our purpose, and what our purpose is. And I remember just sinking in that message and just hearing everything, and everything was just like slapping me in the face. And I remember the altar call, and I remember going up and having like this one-on-one conversation with God, and just telling him, like, God, like, I just remember his presence was like lighting up my situation, and like I was like, God, like, what am I doing? What life am I living? Like, I am living a life with no purpose. I'm living a life like that is just totally apart from you, afar from you. And I remember that night Jana prayed over me, and Jana told me, the Lord heals your pain. The Lord takes away your pain. The Lord makes all things new, and he takes away your shame. And she told me the verse, that God has a purpose and a plan for your life. And I remember in that moment, like, just surrendering everything to God and just laying everything down. And sometimes as a young person, like, you're just thinking of all these things, like, well, how am I going to leave my friends? How am I going to change and all this stuff? But I remember in that moment just allowing God to just come in and just invade my life. And I said, God, I want to follow you. God, I want to find my purpose in you, Lord. And from that moment to now, God has been working greatly in my life. God has been doing amazing things, and I've been seeing him work in my life. And from that moment, I committed my life. I repented to God, and sure enough, God had took me out of the school I was, and he brought me into a new one, and I was able to almost have like a restart. And I just thank God for where I'm at now, because now I can testify and say that I am not here because my parents made me. I'm not here because of my friends. I'm here because I am in a relationship with my maker, with my creator, and the world, it has nothing good to offer me, and it brought me heartache, it brought me pain, it brought me nothing good. And if I look back and if I can be, like a loner sitting on a table with just one Christian friend, I would do that. Now, obviously, that I know, but as a young person, I would encourage you to don't give into the pressures of this world. God is truly the best thing. He has a purpose for us. The world has nothing for us. And I thank God, because if I'm here today, it's because of God's grace and his mercy and picking me up every time I fell. And I just thank him. And I love that line from The Chosen, that all I know is that I was one way and now I'm a completely different way. And what happened in between was God.